1069 Boom.
Welcome to The Mindset. And of course, you know, The Mindset is brought to you with the kind compliments of the folks at Q Care Pharmacy. The Mindset can be heard on Boom 1069 from Tuesday and Wednesdays, right? Every week. And of course, I shouldn't say of course, if you haven't heard of it yet, it's basically a program that we're bringing to you to help with mental health, mental wellness, making you aware of things that can affect your mindset and your mental health. Basically, we try to keep it rather simple so the ordinary man outside can understand what is being said. Of course, we're going to have visitors coming through. We're going to have professionals, different psychologists coming through from different health institutions. Yes. With me today, I have Excel, Mr. Jack. Can I call you?
It's all good.
Jack?
It's all good.
Okay.
It's all good.
All right. Yes. So this is something really dear to my heart because I think a lot of people out there are struggling mentally, not just physically. We know of the physical, but a lot of times what we're not cognizant of is the mental.
Mental deterioration is not normally visible, so
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and even there are little signs when you can tell somebody's really struggling mentally to keep it together sometimes.
Yep.
But there are people who will have it together like you won't
hold that
believe.
in, like,
you
whoa.
know, like they would put on this smile
Yeah.
and just you would never know.
But it takes its toll over a period of time, man.
I am telling you. Now, today on The Mindset, we're going to talk about anxiety. We haven't really touched on anxiety fully. That's what we're going to talk about today. All you guys out there listening, I invite you to come through on the WhatsApp, share your different point of views, your opinions. You can also share your experience. If you have had any experience with anxieties, any kind of struggle, or you know someone, or little tips that has helped in the past with this struggle, feel free to hit a link up on the WhatsApp 455-1069 or call us at 451 live on air 451-1069. All right. So first and foremost, anxiety. What is it? I can give you a definition, and we can also talk about the simple breakdown of what it basically is. So let me tell you the definition I have on anxiety. Anxiety is the mind and body's reaction to stressful, dangerous, or unfamiliar situations. It is the sense of uneasiness, distress, or dread you feel before a significant event. A certain level of anxiety helps us stay alert and aware. But of course, you know, when it gets a bit too much, it can drive us over the edge.
Pretty much.
Right? So we know our body has a fight or flight response to certain things. When it gets pushed into overdrive, you either, you either
go into your shell, or you basically have an adrenaline rush and you're gun it. Yeah.
You explode.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have a lot of experience with anxiety attacks that I know of, but I know of one. Like I said, I don't have a lot of experience with it. I would have seen people go through certain things not knowing that that was an anxiety attack, but thinking back on it now, from what I know, you can definitely tell there are signs and symptoms.
Yes.
I'm doing all the talking. So I'm gonna let you come through.
And also, at some point in time, I would like to say all of us as human beings have experienced some level of anxiety sometime in life, whether you're going to do an exam, that butterfly in the stomach feel, if you will.
Yes.
That is indeed that same set of anxiety, that nervousness before you go up on stage to perform, all these things. Yeah. And it plays a very major factor in how you may perform or how you may do your duties, if you will. So yeah, anxiety.
How you handle things.
Yes, anxiety is something very serious that we need to be more aware of.
I think it's something that even though we struggle with, it's basically like a lot of other things that are pushed under the rug because it's not as important.
Yep.
When it comes to mental health, there are certain things that people expect to see. That is not necessarily the case.
No.
And I think, by the time you figure out that somebody has mental health issue is because they've already had a break and they've already gotten to that extreme point
Yes.
where
There's no coming back, if you will.
sometimes that is how well, okay, they're struggling with mental health issues. Now, a lot of times people are stereotyped, thinking that once you have a mental health issue, it has to be something major.
Yeah.
It's probably something that you can't come back from. It's probably that you're still crazy. And that word crazy, I just want to let you know that everybody crazy.
Yeah.
We got different kind of crazy.
Yeah, we are levels,
right?
layers.
Different levels. We are all crazy in some way, shape, or form. Believe me when I tell you that our levels of crazy are just kind of different and more subtle.
Yeah.
Right? So it is not being crazy. It's not going crazy. It's struggling with mental health issues. Sometimes we lose the struggle. Sometimes we win it. Sometimes we overcome it. Sometimes it's a consistent fight. And I think that's what people don't understand. The fight is consistent. With some people, I think it's like alcoholism. Like when you're fighting one of those so-called disease.
Yeah. Yes. I like that analogy there. Anxiety or self-esteem issues or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
I like the analogy of saying you think it's like alcohol, because I mean, if you're trying to kick the habit, right, you don't need people around telling you like, oh, you just drink this, that, they're going to put you back in a depressive mind state, and then you're going to want to go back to the alcohol because that's your go-to, that's your comfort zone, right? That being said, you can apply it as a like self-esteem and so on too. If I'm working on building my self-esteem, you can't come and verbally disrespect me or berate me, because that's not going to help within me bigging up my self-esteem.
Yeah, it's going to escalate the situation a bit. Now, we're talking about anxiety. We gave you a definition of what anxiety is. Let me just throw out some of the causes that we found. The causes of anxiety and the reason anxiety affects some people to the point where it interferes with their lives are not fully understood. Now, there are a range of factors that are thought to contribute to anxiety symptoms, which can then go on to become disorders. Most anxious people probably have genes that make them more likely to develop an anxiety disorder. Women are more likely to develop anxiety than men, but it is not clear why. So they even went on to say some risk factors for anxiety includes family history. So if there's a history in your family of relatives having anxiety attacks,
so it could be hereditary.
Yeah, you are more likely to develop anxiety if you have a family history of anxiety or other mental health issues.
Okay.
Though it doesn't mean that if there are mental health issues in your family, you will develop anxiety. You can actually develop with something else. It just means that there's some mental instability, or you're mentally sensitive, to certain things, and you just have to be on your P's and your Q's, and on how you handle things.
Be on the guard, if you will.
Ongoing stressful situations such as job issues or changes, unstable accommodation, family or relative or relationship breakdown. Let's put a pin in that, right? Now it says job issues or changes, unstable accommodation, family or relationship breakdown, and grief. Now, those are all causes of anxiety. Those are some things that people really struggle with. Now, I want to bring us back to those because they're the basic things: family, jobs, the stressfulness of your job or changes that might be occurring. What do you think are some of the most common triggers with anxiety, or just having to deal with anything that would affect your mental health on that level? Because like you said, we all get anxious.
Yes. For me, I think it's probably expectation plays a major role in how anxiety attacks you. Because I mean, and not just expectation, your need to want to please either a situation or a person in said situation could create anxiety on a whole level. Like,
it's kind of what we talked about this morning. What we're talking about this morning.
yes,
Just on a different level.
Yes, yes, please. So I might be at a job and I just started. Everybody else there is comfortable and cool, but this is my first 2 weeks at the job, and I will want to put my best foot forward. I won't want to reach late, and let's say I'm in a van coming and the van gets a flat tire. Through no fault of mine, I'm now late.
Yes, and you know how your boss
So,
is. You know he's not going to take certain excuses.
Now we hit me like, boy, when I go in, boy, I can't tell him, man, van tire thing up, boy, what do you want to tell me? Right. So yeah, this anxiety now is going to attack me here en route, and it gets worse as I come closer to the job. So these things, I mean, expectation and the need to want to please a situation or a person, I think, is a very big major role in how anxiety attacks us.
And unbelievably enough, what I don't think a lot of people understand is we as human beings, I'm not saying men or women.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that, separate that. But
it's not gender related.
Exactly. As human beings, we have some seriously unrealistic expectations. You know, we unrealistically expect people to understand us.
Yes.
You know, we expect people to have the same mindset as we do, to think on the same level as we do, to react the same way we do. And we have the unrealistic expectation of people constantly being able, I want to say, to relate. But I'm gonna just leave it. I'm gonna leave it at that one. But when we have unrealistic expectations, it really sets us up, because we need to realize everybody's
for some serious faults.
Yeah, for serious disappointment, because everybody doesn't think like you. Everybody's not going to be on the same wavelength or the same maturity level, and we really need to remember that. Sometimes we're thinking, like you were talking about. Do you mind me just sharing?
It's okay. It's okay.
Right? X was sharing the fact that, you know, he doesn't expect certain people in his life to lie to him. Right? And I was saying that is an unrealistic expectation, because everybody lies. I don't care what you say. At some point in your life, you have lied and you are still lying. It might be a little lies that you call white lies, or it might be a deception, a misleading of some sort. It is still what? A lie. Because
true. For me, my mentality on it though is more detailed. Like, it's not that I don't mind that you're going to lie. I am pushing out a vibe where I am truthful with you with as much as I could possibly be with anything that we interact with. So if I'm doing that, I'm kind of thinking the feeling should be reciprocated, because I'm like, I'm setting an example. I'm setting a bar, and the bar is, I'm truthful to you. When you're around me, I only ask back that same energy. Yes.
See, and that's where we go wrong. It is not wrong for us to do that. But because in reality, people don't think the same way we do. They don't have the same moral standards that we do. That is an unrealistic expectation. And that's why I always believe you should leave room for disappointment. Don't put people on a level or hold people on certain standards where when they do disappoint you, it crashes and everything. And you become so, disappointed, and you just can't believe it. Because I know that people are going to disappoint me at some point. Yeah. I know that at some point you're going to lie to me. It might not be a big lie, or it might not be a lie about certain things.
But it'll be a lie nonetheless.
You understand? And I think we need to understand that and stop putting people on pedestals. That is where we feel sometimes. And really and truly, I think our mindset could really shape how we respond to anxiety. I feel if we could just learn and change our habits, that it can, when I say habits, not just in things that we do, in the way we think, some of the things that we ingest, meaning some of should I say thoughts, information, the people you're around, what you decide
the knowledge
to take.
is so
exactly.
Good. Yeah.
If we can change certain habits and just distance ourselves from certain people, sometimes that's all you need to do.
That's all.
Sometimes
find the circle that suits you.
Exactly. People put some real negative energy into you. just by the way they say what they say to you,
Yeah.
or how they think about you.
Yep.
You know, Jill, I think that you really need to lose some weight. I think that, judging by your height,
Yeah.
your weight, you have too much
And
weight
it
for
may
your
be
height.
the way they come across, the way they say it, as you say. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Right,
And
right.
people don't understand those things. And sometimes they do it real subtle and kind of innocent, and you don't really understand what you're doing. But those are some things that you should be mindful about.
Sure. Like, for instance, if you don't mind me sidetracking you for a while there with a question. So I was talking to a friend last night, and he has a breath problem. And we're in a crowd, and everybody was there, and some people were laughing and so on. My question to you is, as a friend, I realized there's no cool way to pull him aside and say, well, yo, gently they both and thing, and like, yeah, thing kick in, you know what I mean? So I
don't understand those terminology, right?
right. So if I pull him aside, well, that's what I did. I pulled him aside and told him, and he felt, but he got upset. He actually puts himself on blast now, like, oh, imagine that. Don't tell me mouth stick. There's that. So I'm like, but I pulled your aside.
And you already said about it. The thing is, I think, what I'm learning? I'm learning something because I'm trying to change some habits that I have that I think have been, blinding me to certain things, right?
Yep.
To just remember, sometimes it's not about you. It's not about you.
Sure.
We take offense. We catch feelings real fast, and we take offense and we make it about us on some really simple things. And all of that has to do with the ego.
Yes.
And if you can just take your ego out of the way just for a little bit, sometimes
things get smooth out.
It would make such a difference. But everybody's operating so with their ego and responding and sometimes you don't even know it. That's the whole thing.
And to be honest with you, I don't like that talk that we have now with he catching feelings. Listen, we are human beings. We born with feelings, Jazz.
I'm telling you. Some people don't even expect you to have reactions.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a natural reaction, whether it's to something that is said or, how you feel about something that is done, and you just react. Now, it depends on the reaction, but whether it's facial expression or whatever, people are like, why you got to be like that?
Yeah.
So
I'm lost. I mean, somebody might say something that offends me, and it's the way how I respond to that offense is what they're going to focus on now.
Exactly.
Like, yo, so why you gotta be like that?
But in terms of the bad breath situation, I think you operated on a level that I would appreciate, that you would pull me to the side and would tell me about it. Or listen, you don't even have to tell me. Just give me a mint.
True.
Like, just give me a mint, a lozenge, something.
And to be honest with you, it's funny that you should say that. The first thing that I did when I pulled him aside is offer him a mint. He's like, nah, you want a mint one? I was like, oh boy.
He's gonna make me say it.
Yes,
He's gonna make me say it.
It means I have to say this, boy. Yeah.
See, everybody's different, and some people, boy, I can't even make an excuse or come up with a reason, because I myself would have appreciated the fact, just drop a mint in my hand.
Yeah. And you'll be like, cool.
And I would have just turned around, suddenly put it in my mouth, and deal with that situation.
Probably make a two blow.
Exactly. And believe me, that is something I do.
Yes.
And people think I'm weird for doing it, but it's something that you have to do, especially after certain meal. I'm always a little conscious because I eat a lot of garlic. Sometimes I do it in the morning. I don't really eat it. I take it like pills. I chop it up real fine.
Right.
And so I start my morning off with that.
Attention to. Right.
So, before I start talking to anybody, I'm like, if I come in and I'm like, I'm not even ashamed to do it in front of people, because I want to make sure I'm all good.
It's kind of cool that you should say that. I'm not sure how many younger persons you might interact with and so on, but I'm noticing a trend, if you will, taking place in Vinci, where young people are becoming complacent with even hygiene.
Oh my gosh. You know what?
They ain't bathing.
Let's put a pin in that.
Right.
We're going to put a pin in that. When we come back, you got to take a break from the mindset. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the different things that makes us overly anxious, and that can actually cause either a mental break or put us to the point where we have to seek professional help. All right, guys, this is the mindset on Boom 1069. We're in the Shaderoom. The Mindset is powered by the folks at the NLA. Don't forget, if you want to interact with us, we're talking about anxiety today. If there's anything you want to share with us, 455-1069. That's our WhatsApp number. Or you can call us live on air, 451-1069. We'll be right back.
1069 Boom.
Welcome back in the Mindset. That was it was a nice little break, and you know, it really puts you back into perspective. We had some nice conversation off air. For those of you who are just coming through, we're talking about anxiety. We didn't really get to touch into it on a broad basis, or enough that I wanted to. We're talking about some different things that can make you overly anxious to the point where it can affect your mental health. Some of the causes, some of the things that we want you to be able to look at and know that this can be a trigger. We're just coming off of it being possibly hereditary, meaning if it's in your family,
yes, it can be passed down.
It can be passed down, not necessarily anxiety, but different mental stresses can be passed down. Yeah, did I put that right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I put that right. I want to get into this response real quick before we get back to what we're going to get into. So someone says, on the topic of everyone feels anxiety, I don't think that many people don't really know how to differentiate anxiety as a passing feeling for others and anxiety as a disorder. And thus, it is very easy for them to diminish how they see anxiety, and thus making the person with anxiety feel small because of that.
True.
Like, for example, someone who feels anxiety might just know it is a feel. Sorry, let me take that again. For example, someone who feels anxiety might just know it as feeling it at that, being anxious, one point, when in fact, anxiety for those with an anxiety disorder doesn't just stop after one particular moment. Depending on the anxiety disorder and the severity of it, the anxiety can linger and jump from situation to situation until someone gets in their head about it and retreats into themselves. Now, it's funny enough, you talk about this person talking about retreating into yourself.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times how we handle some of these, some of our mental issues, that depends on the outcome of it, or on
Pretty
how
much.
far it can go. Some of us, we downplay certain things. I'm not just talking about our family members downplaying it when we say, you know, I feel something's wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I feel real stressed out. I feel like I always want to be by myself these days. These days, I just can't handle people and this stubbornness. Yo, I have a high tolerance to stubbornness.
Yeah.
I really do.
I'm very patient.
You know?
And my
I
tolerance
think
of a
I
high
do.
when it comes to nonsense.
And sometimes, like, some people we're around, we joke around with some serious stubbornness, like for joke purposes. You know, and then there are days when I just can't deal with it. I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, but sometimes to ourselves, all these little symptoms that we see, we downplay it and we push them aside. You know what? That is just probably, you know.
I think an issue that we have is we tend to want to hold in things a lot as a people. Mm-hmm. Like talking helps, right? Venting is a great key, if you will, for stuff like anxiety. And so find that person or persons that you're chill with enough to let them know, yo, this is where my mind is at. Because sometimes all it takes is a listening ear. Right?
When he said chill with, he means somebody you can trust that.
Yeah. Not somebody who can just listen to information with the whole idea of carrying it back out there in public with their own little spin to it. Nah, nothing like that. Somebody I could trust, a confidant, if you will, and you vent with them. They lend that listening ear. Sometimes even a listening ear might just be the thing that is required to keep this person from spiraling down. So yeah,
that is true. And you know, I would like to encourage others, when somebody come and vent to you, please note you don't have to respond. No. A lot of people feel like you have to give advice or you have to
You have
respond.
to say something
yeah.
back. Yeah,
No.
yeah.
No, you don't have to. Sometimes we just want you to listen. Some people just need someone to listen and just to get it out.
True.
We don't want advice. We don't want, and I'm saying we because I'm just trying to be inclusive here. I don't want anybody to feel anyway
Yep.
out there. There's really, I'm fine. So, but we honestly don't need feedback. We don't need advice. We don't need to feel worse than how we already feel. Like, because sometimes people give advice and then it comes across as criticism.
Pretty much.
You know, and then we take it all the wrong way and then we feel the need to defend. You know,
please. Yes,
so
please.
really and truly, sometimes when people vent to you, just know that you don't always have to respond.
Yes, because responding sometimes can make things worse. There's a story from our past. At that time, I was going to school, and there was this young man. He was with this lady, and she gave him an STD, major life-threatening STD. And what happened is he came up to where we were linemen, and he was relating it back to us. Because the young lady was around us chilling too as well. The crazy thing is, we were clowning so much with it. We were laughing after the guy, like, boy, well, if that's what you do, I better go home and hang yourself. We were laughing. And he did indeed go home and hang himself.
Wow.
And we realized, like, yo, sometimes you have to be very careful. You're on thin ice with things you might tell somebody you don't know what this person have in their mind or their heart towards how they see the situation. So you can make it a major mountain out of a molehill. So we realize at the early stage, like, boy, be careful about what you say to a person when they're in those moods, when their mind feel like they're breaking or whatever. You could be the catalyst. You could be the pushover. Yeah. So be very mindful of that.
And that in itself, knowing that something you said would have caused someone to do that, can have some significant trauma.
We did not expect,
because guilt would have consumed me.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
In a major way.
It is a burden that has been carried for years. I mean, by everybody there that was involved, because it was a good bit of us, like 12 of us strong, and we were laughing and making jokes with it, not knowing that this guy walking away is about to go and take his life. Yes. And the next thing now, we went to the funeral, everything, but we just didn't feel like we made up enough, because we felt like we were the ones that pushed him over that edge, because he was already in that mindset, like, boy, I got an STD, this woman betrayed me, and then these guys laughing. You know, they're making a joke out of it. So, I mean, it real, you know?
I think our responses, like you said, plays a significant role.
Yes.
In how we help people or break people. All right, so let's getting back to some information here. We talked about factors that we can look for with anxiety in people. There's also some physical health issues that's attached to it, like asthma.
Yep.
And you can get that, because I remember my only anxiety attack that I've ever had is when I went to my mother's funeral, and I was fine. I did cry, but not really break down and cry. Before, when after I found out she passed and all of this, I did. I cried a bit, but everything else was kept tight because I had to basically do everything.
Yep.
And then my sister was like, "Don't cry, because if you cry, we're gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it."
Right.
So we get to the cemetery, and I don't know what happened. I was doing fine. I was watching some people with bad eye too. I was doing fine. I had it like,
but there was just a trigger, boy.
When they put her casket into the ground. Like, that was the point where
the finality of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is happening. She's not coming back.
Yeah.
This is it, Jill. And I don't know where it came from. I started crying, and then I started breathing really. I couldn't even catch my breath properly.
Yep.
It was crazy. I just talking about it's giving me chills right now, and it was a real hassle to catch my breath. I had to really focus and pull myself together to just get to be able to breathe.
Yep.
So you can see how asthma could be attached to it, or how that could be an issue.
Facts.
To be overwhelmed emotionally to the point where you're gonna forget to breathe, or it's kind of hard to breathe. I don't know if you understand that, where you forget how to breathe. That is real significant. You're blank to the point
and
where
your brain can shut off like that, huh?
I didn't think it was possible
Yes.
because before I'd be like, how could you forget to breathe? That's a natural thing. You know, we would play it off like that, but you know, it's understandable,
True.
and it could be a trigger. Diabetes, heart disease, or normal hormonal issues such as thyroid problems, right? These are all linked to anxiety. Consuming caffeine, maybe this is just too much, as well as some non-prescription and herbal medications.
I mean, with the caffeine part, yeah, I'm a coffee person.
I know,
don't get
right?
anxiety in it.
Yeah, that's
I'm like a morning coffee guy. I get up and once I get my coffee, I go like I'm ready for the wall now. So
I'm
I
telling
mean,
you.
yeah,
Listen, people don't understand that, and they
Yeah.
say that you've become addicted. You need to do something about this, but they don't understand.
yeah,
And when you stop, you go through withdrawal, you know, and that in itself causes anxiety.
yep,
When you're going through withdrawal.
Yep.
People, do you know how significant that is? What that says? You've been doing this for a while. You're dependent on this.
yes, and
This
it's
is your.
and it God.
It's how you start the world, you know,
Yeah.
start your day and everything. So,
Yep.
you know, we understand how the anxiety could come into that. Also, real quick, we're at this point when how do we know we should see a doctor?
Mhm.
Now, with the information we're given, it says if anxiety is impacting your everyday life, talking to a doctor or mental health professional is the first step to getting the right support and understanding the options for treatment. It might help to write down your symptoms for some time leading up to your appointment, so it's easier to explain to a doctor or mental health professional what you're going through. It will help them make a thorough anxiety disorder diagnosis. You know, I'm glad we were able to touch on that before we wrap up,
Yeah.
right? Because how do you explain to your doctor, I'm going through something, I don't know what it is, I want you to tell me what it is, and I don't know the symptoms.
Yeah,
So how do you explain that to your doctor? Well, I could tell you, for one, sometimes I have difficulty breathing when it happens. You know, I've been really stressed, but really and truly, if you write it down, if you notice it's happening a lot, like you get anxious for things that you would not normally get
Yep.
anxious for,
yep.
and for a longer length of time, it is
And
definitely
you realize you're having periods, some kind of fits, moments where the anxiety just so overwhelming.
It
You
takes
feel you want to
over,
do
yeah.
something crazy. Then I think it's time you have an intervention during those situations. I read something that due to anxiety disorder, people get panic attacks, right? Which
What's
is
the
pretty much the
difference?
same.
Yeah, because I was figuring this
Yeah,
out.
I'm
Okay.
thinking, but I have to check and see if an anxiety attack and a panic attack is one and the same. Because after 3 panic attacks, you automatically get a heart attack.
I did not know that.
Yes, this was something that we did in school coming up, and I was like, you don't say. If you get 3 panic attacks, automatically the human body, the 4th one will be a heart attack.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because it's going to go into that mode where
Yes,
it needs
where
to.
your body then reaches that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because when you get an anxiety attack, some of the parts of the bodies that's affected is within the respiratory system all affects the
Yep.
heart.
Yep.
You know, and they could also be signs of a heart attack.
Yes, please.
You know, so it is incredible, and it's definitely something to watch for. And we might think that this is not going to happen to children. Don't do that. I want to just put that in there real quick. We think, all right, it's adult, it's a teenagers, it happens to children. And
Yeah,
it's
we need to get
something-
out of that mindset.
for real, it's something that you should look for in your probably preteens. You know, like for instance, let me give you this. My son, he's going to be doing, one of my sons is going to be doing CPEA soon.
Yep.
And he doesn't like to get things wrong. He doesn't like to forget his books. He doesn't like to be late. He gets anxious
Yeah.
because he knows how his teachers are going to react, and he doesn't want to be the center of attention. He doesn't want to get embarrassed. You can see these little anxious traits coming through. You know, Mom, I don't really like school. I mean, he does well in school.
Yeah.
You know, but the things he says tells me where he's at mentally, and that puts me on guard. And it's things that I look out for, and I
Yeah.
try to deal with right away.
Basically, try guide it.
Not even just guide it, like I address it. And I would say, this is something you can do when you start feeling this way.
Sure.
Yes, she would be mad, but to what extent? Remember this, she's not going to beat you, for just doing this. You're a good student. Everybody says that about you. So I try and give him different things to just bring him down from that level where he's like, I don't want to go to school tomorrow.
What I think is cool with you though, as well, that a lot of Vinci mothers don't don't say a lot. Probably around 30% or more of Vinci mothers don't really have good rapport with their kids.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't have that type of relationship where your son could come to you as a mommy and be like, yo, mommy, I've been checking this girl, such and such, wherever. Yeah, no, they don't normally have that kind of relationship there. So I think it's really cool that he could come to you and you could sit down and give him little key things that he could do. So, I mean, all these things.
But we really have to kind of have that relationship with our children, because I'm not saying be friends to the point where you can't talk to your children, but you have to have that open door where they can feel comfortable in coming and telling you, whether it's about something that they're anxious about, something that they're having trouble with, or advice on all these things. So otherwise they're going to go to other people who are probably going to give them really bad advice.
Might mislead them all things.
Exactly.
So.
Or they might try to handle it themselves and end up in a world of all these things. Guys, so remember, these are signs and symptoms you can look out for with anxiety. We gave you some of those before. Note that you can check out your family history. It could be due to stressful situations that you're having at work or within your family or with relationships. Also, it could be some form of abuse that you're experiencing that can cause these things.
We as human beings can create anxiety in people. Like putting pressure on your child to only come in force in school.
That is true.
That could create anxiety in the child.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes.
So we have to be mindful of some of these things. And of course, you can look up these information, guys. And I want to remind y'all that it's not just something you deal with words. Do you know that there are medications for brain health, supplements for brain health that you can take just to keep your mind active and strong and going?
Yes,
make sure that the blood is pumping properly, it's circulating, all these things. There's some people who don't like to take medication.
And I was just going to say, for people who aren't medication oriented, cauliflower. Cauliflower is great for your mind, growing your mind, and
and if you want something that is proven, you can go to QK Pharmacy, and there are like 3 different pharmacies that you can ask for advice on any kind of brain supplement. All right.
Yep.
So with that, we're going to wrap up our mindset for today. It was about anxiety, just touching on anxiety, some things that you can look for when you should go see your doctor. Don't wait until it gets really overwhelming.
Yes.
If you see signs and symptoms that worry you,
please
don't second guess yourself,
especially
if you're constantly in a stressful situation. All right, check it out. And if you need someone to talk to, when you hear a mental health professional, it doesn't mean that you have to go by the clinic.
By the crazy want to know
that's
people.
That's not what it means.
Because everybody done have this thing when they can get choked when they go.
Exactly.
We understand. We get that.
All right. So that's not what it means. It means there's a phone book, and you can look up different psychologists, and you can actually have what do you call them when you go and they just get the first visit oh my gosh, what's it called?
An evaluation, if you will.
Okay. Let's use not necessarily an evaluation. You can go talk to them.
Consultation.
That's the word I'm looking for. Get a consultation. See if it's all in your head, maybe, and work from there. See if that's a doctor you will feel comfortable with, talking to, etc.
Yep.
All right, guys, we do appreciate you listening and taking the time. It has been awesome having you here.
Yes. We need to do this again, man.
I'm telling you, it is so good to get that feedback and, to be able to do this.
Yes.
We are trying to get someone. We're planning to bring on someone today along with Excel, but they kind of backed out at the last minute.
Yes.
And some people are just kind of radio mic shy, Some people are like that. But at the end of the day, Thank you guys so much. We got to jump into our lunchtime pump.
It's all
Don't
good.
forget, your lunchtime pump is powered by the folks at the NLA. Tune in tomorrow, same time, same place for another edition of the Mindset Program, brought to you with the kind compliments of Q Care Pharmacy.
1069 Boom.